You guys got questions, I've got answers. I'm not going to guarantee that they're the correct answers, but they are answers. Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. And this is the first time I think I've ever done this on the channel, but I asked you guys, I sent out a little request for Q&A. So, and I do get a lot of questions in the comments, but I thought, you know, kind of open it up to just about anything, whether you want to ask about the underground lair, me personally, any kind of art process, or any particular video I did. So I got a lot of questions, and I thought I'd go through those and kind of answer some of those. And I just want to let you guys know that I do appreciate all of the comments that I get. And at this point in time right now, I'm at a position where I'm able to answer all those comments. They're not like a lot of big YouTubers where it's just impossible to do that. And so that's kind of a cool thing. So I just want to let you guys know, unless you're watching this maybe a few years and maybe it's different, and I'm gonna still try to do my best to answer everything I can. But usually if you do ask a question, unless you're like trolling me, then I will try to answer those. So go ahead and send those questions in. So yeah, I got some, and why don't I get to answering them. And while I do that, I'm going to show you the process of me working on this Merfolk sketch illustration thingy. So let's get to it. Okay, so Q&A time. These again are from the chat, the YouTube chat, or the YouTube comment section rather. And some of them were questions, some were comments that I just wanted to respond to. So the first one is more of a comment. Dimitri Nestor: "You're good at drawing, man. You should make your own comic book or digital comic book. But anyway, keep up the good work." So yeah, Dimitri, I do make a comic book. I haven't really talked about it much lately on the channel, and I probably should do an update soon, and I'll do that. But yeah, so I'm working on the 4th issue of my comic book, Young and the Dead. It is a kids versus zombies story. It's like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. And right now, I'm just sort of in the stage of just shading. I'm doing some shading, and then I'm going to do lettering, and so it is close to being done. So I should really do an update on that. But yeah, I do have 3 issues out right now. They're at serkworks.com if you're interested in that. So yeah, I do actually do comics. All right, so the next question is from Jimmy Gray. Now, a lot of these questions are specific to certain videos I did. This one, it was the ad or AD marker versus Copic comparison. And so Jimmy wants to know, do xylene markers bleed, smudge, or smear with a ballpoint pen? Now, I've done some tests with these, and I have not. At least the ballpoint pens that I've used, I haven't got any smudging or smearing or anything like that with the xylene markers, with the ad markers. So that's pretty awesome. So if you do work with a ballpoint pen and you're looking for a marker, those xylene markers, they work pretty well, and those are the chart pack ad markers. So let's see. So the next question from Aaron Wood. And this one is one of the art hack videos. The last bonus hack, which was the one where it's kind of a tip I took from Kevin Cross, where you print out comic book lettering and then you go over it by hand. That way you get little inconsistencies and it doesn't look so much like a font. But anyway, with that art hack, Aaron wanted to know what kind of pen was I using, and that was a pen I don't have anymore. But it was just like a ballpoint pen, not a ballpoint pen, but like a felt tip pen. And when I'm doing lettering, I like felt tip pens because you can kind of push, and I don't know, it seems better for me with lettering with felt tip pens. So find a good felt tip pen for lettering, I think, anyway. And I've been doing a lot of lettering lately because I'm working on some new fonts that it's something I want to offer to you guys as part of like joining a newsletter or something like that. So I should have some really cool free fonts, and one of those would be kind of your standard like body copy lettering that you would use in word balloons and things like that. So working on that. The only thing with felt tip pens is a lot of them aren't archival, so you kind of have to watch out for that if that's a concern. So let's see, another question from Aaron Wood, and this one is in regards to the Cat Print video I did where I was unboxing and everything. Now Cat Print, they ship all their stuff out with these biodegradable packing peanuts, and so he says, admit it, if you ever got a package with those cornstarch packing pellets, you ate at least 1 or 7. And yeah, I actually, on that video, I actually did eat one just to see what it was like. And they were really not much flavor to them. I didn't eat more than one. One was enough. But my dog, or my girlfriend's dog, got into that pack and was just going crazy eating all those packing peanuts. So yeah, I guess dogs really do love them. So Darius D. Armstrong, I love the redesigns. Let's see, keep doing them. So these are the redesigns I'm doing, where I'm taking my old drawings and I'm redesigning, I'm kind of giving them an update. But wants to know what kind of brush I was using for that. Now a lot of these are tools and things. So for that particular brush, I was using a Zebra Fude pen. And if I can remember, there may be a link. A lot of times there are links to some of the tools I use in the description of the videos. This one's a little hard because everything in this pen, look at the package right now, everything on it is in Japanese except for the word zebra. But it's a Fude pen, it's kind of double tipped, it's a longer pen, but it's probably my favorite brush pen. So if you maybe if you Google Zebra Fude pen, F-U-D-E, I believe, you'll be able to find that. So next I got a couple of questions about the sticker paper I use in my How to Make Stickers video. And the first one is from Brandon Heller. How thick is the paper used for the labels? So it's almost like a standard, so it's not as thick as cardstock, but it's thicker than your average, copy paper. But the thing is, they're chemical labels, and you have to look out for, you have to make sure, if you have a laser printer, get the stuff for laser printers. If you have an inkjet, get the stuff for inkjet, or else they will not work. But because they're made for labels, chemical labels, they're not gonna, the color's not going to wash off of them. They're not quite like vinyl, but they're probably the next best thing if you're going to print labels at home. The other question I got about the labels was from Meanie Mouse. Do you know or think these would work on cars? Would they fade fast? And that one I'm not sure of. I might be hesitant about cars. I don't know how long they would hold up. I live in Arizona, and the sun like beats down and stuff out here, and it's like, so they may last a while. I don't know. I mean, again, they are made for chemical labels. I don't know, a lot of that stuff is supposed to sit out in the sun or whatever, so that one I'm not positive. I would kind of proceed with caution on that particular one. So I got a couple questions about Pro White, which is the white ink that I use to do, corrections, or, if you're working on a comic, you want to add some stars or something like that, or anything that you generally would need white ink. Now, I don't know, I'm still not sure if they still make Pro White. I switched over to the Doc Martens brand. It's called Proof White, Bleed Proof White, but, it's pretty much kind of the same product. And I was talking about how if it dries up, you can add some water and leave it overnight, and it'll kind of pop back to normal. So Pasco Vanilla wants to know, what type of brush would you recommend for Pro White? And I don't really have a particular recommendation for a brush. When I use the Pro White, I use like a Cotman watercolor brush. It's probably like a #1. Those are more economical watercolor brushes, but the main thing about using Pro White is just make sure you don't use the same brush that you're using for inking, because any bit of black ink will create some grays, and it's really hard to wash all that stuff out. So the main thing is just to use a different brush. The other one is from Mark Baker, and I have some questions about Pro White. What kind is the best brush? And so same question there. But is it good for covering mistakes? Can you draw? Can you paint over it? And yeah, to a certain extent, I mean, you can paint over it. It's not going to be just like the thickness of, the same texture as paper, but it is made for making corrections and everything like that. And he mentioned that he poured the water in, and the next day it worked. It did pop back to normal, but I guess he had some yellowing. That I really don't know. I've never really had that issue, so I'm not really sure. Sorry about that. I wish I could give you a better answer for that. So another question from Darius D. Armstrong. One question I have, does it matter which size you draw the comic book on? Or is 11 by 17 always the best ultimate standard? So 11 by 17 it's sort of the standard, but that's what I think that's probably what most people use, but that, I mean, you can draw your comic book on any size page you want. My friend Joshua Kimball that I do the Artcasters with, he works on these massive size. I don't even know how big he works, but some people work smaller, some people work actual size. It's kind of whatever you're comfortable with. But usually the reason why most people work at a slightly larger size is that when it's reduced, it kind of, you get rid of some of the issues that you have, that maybe wobbly lines or whatever. Not totally, but so that's why a lot of people do work a little bit larger. But you don't have to. You can work whatever size. And even comic books, I mean, there is a standard size for American comics, but if you're doing like mini comics or whatever else, I mean, you don't have to stick with that format. So whatever, I mean, you do, if you do want your work to be reduced down to kind of that standard American comic size, it should be in multiples of whatever that size is, and it's like a weird size, but roughly anything that's kind of divisible by that 11 by 17, somewhere in that area, you're going to kind of have the right ratio for American comics. But you can work on whatever size paper you'd like. All right, Neftali Albert, hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, wants to know, who are your top superheroes that you would like to meet in real life? And this is, I'm not sure if I exactly understand the question, but I'll sort of give an answer for the two possible ways I think you're going. So if you're talking about like actual superheroes from comic books, if they were real, I don't know. When I was a kid, my favorite hero, I think, was probably, because I was big in the Super Friends and stuff, was Aquaman. And I know Aquaman gets a lot, he gets a lot of heat and stuff. A lot of people don't like him, but I don't know. I don't know if I just kind of related to Aquaman, because when I was a kid, I was this blonde-haired kid. I loved to swim and everything, and so he was kind of the one that I thought if I grew up I would resemble most. And I know there's sort of this weird debate right now about representation in comics, and not that this is any, this isn't really even the same thing, because there's plenty of male white superheroes out there. But I do understand why it's important for people to kind of see heroes that they can kind of identify with, that they can kind of put themselves in. So, but anyway, so because of that, Aquaman maybe, but really, I don't know. When I was a kid, I met Batman. Somebody dressed up as Batman, and I got this really cool Power Records album, and that album is still like this awesome album that I don't have the album anymore, but it's online and I listen to it and everything. But that was really cool to meet Batman. I think if I was to grow up, I don't know if I'd really want to meet Batman because he's so dark and everything. Maybe Superman. Like I know in the original Superman movie, Lois Lane kind of did an interview with him. So it would be interesting to kind of find out about Superman. And I guess I'd want to know, what is it like to be, have all this power and kind of have the weight of the world on your shoulder, that to stay that Boy Scout with all this power, how it doesn't corrupt, because that phrase, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and the fact that he's able to be who he is and be the better person. And so yeah, I mean, maybe Superman would probably be my go-to. There's probably, if I was to think about this, there's probably so many more. But now, if the question is more like people in real life that I look up to as if they were superheroes, I don't know if that's what you meant. But yeah, a lot of the people that I really like to meet in real life, I mean, some of them have passed on. Like I would have loved to have met, Jim Henson and just talked to him and everything. This is a weird one, but I'm not really big at about meeting celebrities or whatever. I don't really. I don't really go to comic conventions and stand in line for autographs, because it just seems like that, and no disrespect to anyone that does that, because I know a lot of people do, but it just doesn't seem, I mean, to me it would have to be in a situation where it just happened to be at the same event or something, and you're just chatting normally like you would. And I might not even ask somebody, anything about, their job or anything. It might just be interesting to talk to somebody. But somebody I really admire is Weird Al Yankovic, and it's kind of a weird thing, but just the way he's transcended all of these different generations, and he's still putting out awesome stuff. And I mean, and if you've only heard Weird Al's parodies, you don't know. I mean, most of his best stuff is all his original stuff that really doesn't get airplay or people have never heard of. But just his sense of humor, I don't know what it is, but there's nothing really. It's not. it's not mean-spirited or anything. It's just fun, and it's funny. I don't know. If there was just a conversation, I would like to talk. I would just probably like to talk to Weird Al, and I don't know if that's what you mean by superhero. But anyway, so. Okay, so here's a couple questions about the underground lair. This one is from Elsa Wallstrom, and she wants to know, let's see, here. Question, what are the pipes and things in the lair made of? They look a bit more whimsical shaped than actual plumbing, but that may be the way you painted them to look like that. So yeah, the underground lair is a combination of a few different things. Some of them are actual PVC, like the larger PVC pipe that's been painted, and I've added little things like bolts and things onto them, and kind of gave them that whole faux painting treatment. And a lot of these are just basically, most of those pipes and everything are left over from past, display setups for comic conventions. So some of those are from my first one, but then a lot of them are like insulation foam that has been cut and then sanded and everything to look like that. So those are the ones that they're a little more flat, but those are the ones that look more whimsical and not like something you would buy at like a Home Depot. So and if you want to go way back, and I hesitate to tell you to do this because it's so bad, but like my first ever video, some of my first ever videos on my channel, there's one, and it's like super shaky that I'm holding it by my camera by hand, and it's real shaky and everything, but it's got some good information, and we'll show you exactly how I built all that stuff. If so you want to go back there, it's just, I think it's like how to build a cool comic book booth or something like the Comic-Con booth, and it's it's pretty cringy, but there is some good information there. So let's see. So Michelangelo, let's see. How big is the underground lab? So the underground lab, it's got a lot of different areas, and at one point I think I want to do, maybe if I hit 10,000 or something subs, maybe I'll do like a tour, like a full tour of the underground lair or something like that. At some point I do want to do that. But so there's different areas, but the area that you see mostly in the beginning, that's a rather small one, the one where the desk is and everything. That's about the size of like a walk-in closet. So that part of it is relatively small. All right, Jay Cooper asks, do you have to drive traffic to Store Envy products? Yeah, so I have a Store Envy store. And for the most part, yeah, you do have to drive your own traffic there. There is a marketplace, but I haven't really had any success over that. And the way Store Envy used to work was if somebody purchased something from their marketplace, if they actually drove the traffic, then they would take a commission from that. And they kind of changed the way they did things. So now it's like now they add a fee to the customer for, it's just like a Store Envy fee, and I really don't like that. And I don't know if there's a way around that, or if there's a way, because I would much rather have them charge me the fee as the seller and me work that into the price, because I just don't like extra fees. Like when you go to buy concert tickets, it's just like, why not just tell me the price of what it is instead of adding all these other fees? I want to know what it is. If it's going to be more, it'll be more, but tell me up front. Don't add all this extra stuff. So I really don't like that. So I'm going to be switching over. I think I'm going to switch everything over to Squarespace and use their e-commerce. And it's going to, it'll cost money, but I think I'd rather do that. Because up until now, I mean, Store Envy probably still is the best way to go as far as the lowest fees compared to like Etsy or whatever. But yeah, I just don't like the fact that they're just charging the customer like that. And like I said, I haven't looked into it enough. Maybe there is a way that you can change that so the seller's being charged. But yeah, so I'm not a big fan of that. But yeah, more or less you have to drive all your traffic to Store Envy, at least in my experience. Okay, so let's see. This is from Thrasher Omega. This is about Printful. How long does it take to get delivered? Printful, in my experience, is like, the fastest I've had is maybe a week, usually a week and a half, could be a little more, and it just kind of depends, but, so, roughly a week, it could take more. That's my experience. William Ford asks, being an indie creator, in your opinion, how many pages should you be able to produce in a week or a month? if you really want to keep your audience interested and keep your fan base. This is geared towards the comic creator who's doing everything: writing, drawing, inking, coloring. How often should you publish your comic? For me, I want to put it out every 2 months. Is that a good idea or not? That if you can do that, that is a great idea. For me, I am nowhere near that that productive on my comic. And the way I look at my comic, for me, this is sort of like my passion project. But I do all kinds of other artwork and everything. So as much as I love comics, they're kind of a labor of love. So it's just something I do on the side, and I'm not. I mean, I try to get them out, but I mean, it just takes a long time for me because I'm doing other kinds of artwork and everything. But if you can put a book out every 2 months, I mean, that would be awesome. And and I do write and draw and do all that stuff myself too. But my main thing with my comic is I'm mainly looking at it for the finished trade. When it's all finished, then I'm going to really start promoting it. Right now, it's just kind of as long as it takes me to put out, and I'll put out an issue and maybe run a Kickstarter or whatever. But for the most part, I don't really, other than that, I don't try to promote it too much. I just wait. I'm just kind of, hopefully when I get it all done, then I can really put together a really nice version of it, and then I will market it more. And that's another reason, like I talked about earlier, why I haven't maybe really even talked about it on the show of late. So. But if you're wanting to put out a book and you're wanting to keep that audience captive like you're talking about, if you can put out a book every 2 months, a bi-monthly book, that's awesome. On average, most professional comic book creators, they usually put out a page. They can produce a page a day. That's kind of, I think, the average. Now, if you're doing everything from writing and inking, and that's a little more, so maybe a couple page every 2 days if you're really hitting it hard. Like I said, I'm nowhere near that, so I might not be the best person to ask. Chancho Sandoval wants to know, what kind of paper to use? I can never find the right paper to use. Please let me know. And this is in reference to the marker videos. So typically, if you really want the best kind of paper for marker, there is marker paper available. The stuff I use in my marker videos, like what I'm doing right now that you're looking, those are just basically, I just take my ink drawings and I photocopy them on cardstock. So it's not really the best to use. It will soak up a lot more of that ink. That's the good thing about marker paper. It doesn't use up as much of your ink. But I don't always do the things you're supposed to do. So I just usually take my ink drawings and I'll photocopy them. Sometimes I'll do them on the actual ink if I'm drawing on like a Bristol or whatever, which again, probably not the best paper to use for marker. Marker paper would be the best. But a lot of times marker paper is a little bit thinner and a little more transparent, so maybe that's the reason why I don't really prefer it. But there is marker paper available for that. Bianca Mathis wants to know, are the prints archival? And she's talking about the cat print prints. So unfortunately, I did contact Catprint and ask them about that, and no, their prints aren't archival. Unfortunately, they're still really good prints. If archivability is super important to you, then maybe don't go through Catprint. But if you're selling it at shows and things, to be honest, and it's sort of sad, but most people that buy prints at shows, they don't really care about the quality. It's weird. They just care about whatever character they want or whatever. So I think Catprint prints are perfectly fine. They do a really good job. In the beginning, I was really on the archival train, and I got like photographic prints done, and they weren't digital prints. They were actually like a photographic process and everything, and they costed a little more of a premium. But people didn't want to pay that premium. They just want the a lot of people are just happy with like color copies that you get from Kinko's or something like that, which I don't really agree with. I think upgrade and do something more like Catprint. No, unfortunately, they aren't archival. Okay, here is a question/comment from B2D327. And it's something I wanted to chime in because I kind of have an opinion on this, and it's something I hear all the time, and I'm not sure I'm really down with it. But I don't totally disagree, just kind of the way it's phrased. But anyway, in a generation of participation trophy recipients where taking shortcuts is the norm, does it surprise the ones who actually put out put in the time and effort to improve their craft. It's everywhere now. And this was in regards to the Inktober video I did, and there was some controversy around that as well. And I am all, if you've watched any of my videos, I am all for the hustle and putting in the work and doing all that stuff. The thing that I don't really agree with this whole notion of these participant trophies. And that's the big problem with the world today, or a problem with millennials, is that everyone's getting a trophy to participate. Because, hey, I'm in my 40s, and guess what? This is not a new revelation. This isn't something that just happens like recently. When I was a kid, I got those participation trophies, and there's no one that I know actually thinks that those trophies are you somehow earn those, or some special honor to get one of those trophies. It is what it is. I mean, you get those trophies. I played Little League when I was a kid for like 6 years. I played Pop Warner football 1 year, which I absolutely hated. That's a whole other story. But anyway, with all those things, I got those trophies, and they weren't I didn't display them saying, oh, I got this trophy, I'm a big deal or whatever. Everyone knows what they are. So I don't get that. And the reason why everyone gets trophies isn't because they're trying to make everyone special. The reason why everyone gets trophies is because the people that produce these trophies are companies, and you make more money if you're just going to give one trophy to the one team that did the best. You earn money off of one trophy. Now, if you give one trophy to every team, then you're doing better business. And I run a small business, so I'm definitely pro small business. Now, if every person on the team gets a trophy, you're selling more trophies. That's the reason why everyone gets trophies. It's not because you're trying to make everyone feel special. And again, a lot of these trophy companies, they're just like mom and pop shops. So I don't know why everyone's so against small business and trying to earn a buck. I mean, it's to me, I don't really equate that. Now, and I know a lot of people, a lot of millennials that are doing, they've got the hustle in them. And this argument has been going on before I was born, before my grandpa was born. Everyone's generation is lazier than the next. It's like oh, I used to travel 3 miles in the snow to get to school and all this stuff. And I don't know if that's true or not, but everyone's got that same thing where they say the next generation is lazier, and I just don't see that. There's some people may be lazy, some people aren't. I mean, it's just so anyway, that's my opinion on that. But again, I am all for hustling. I'm all for putting the time in, because really, if you do want to be an artist, you've got to put the time in. You've got to love this thing enough to really put everything you got. It's like a lifestyle. It's less of a job. It's more of a lifestyle, or even a hobby or whatever, if you really want to do it like that. Now, it's perfectly fine for if you just want it to be a hobby or for fun, that's fine too. But if you're looking to pursue this as a career or whatever, you really need to put a lot into it. And again, this argument with this participation trophy, and it's just got so much steam and so many people talk about it, and I think it's BS. So okay, so I think that's most of the questions, but there are a few other comments I just wanted to go to because I kind of got a chuckle out of them. This one's a little trolly, but no says, welcome to my underground laboratory. How about welcome to my mother's basement? I thought that was kind of funny. Hey, it is kind of, in some ways, I think, a grown man doing all these videos and stuff like this, is a little silly, but hey, it's stuff I love to do as a kid, and I kind of got a Peter Pan complex, and I like to feel young and do all this stuff, do the same kind of stuff I did as a kid. That's why I make comics and everything. So yeah, there. So the other comments. So by and large, the biggest comment, the one comment I always get is, oh, you should have more subscribers and everything. So I get that all the time, and I want to iterate that. A lot of people, and they mean well when they say this, but if you look at the people who are saying it, they usually don't have a lot of subscribers, so I don't really think they understand what it takes to get, to build a YouTube channel. Now, some people it can happen real quick, some people it takes like me, it takes a while, but you kind of got to stick with it. But it's not as easy as a lot of people think, so I just want to throw that out. The other questions I get, or the other comments I get all the time, are people saying I look like a particular person. And there's two in particular that I get all the time, and those are, let's see, Mark Ruffalo and Jon Favreau. So I'm just going to read some of these comments because I kind of thought they were funny. And there's a few other ones, some other comparisons I get too. But so Jack Florentine says, this guy looking like he could play young Happy Hogan, in my humble opinion. J.K. Flow Art, you look like Happy Hogan. Sure you don't need need the badge? Love the tutorial. Let's see, what else we got here? Drummer Girl, Tim Robbins is your older brother, right? You look and sound just like him when he was a lot younger. I do appreciate the younger Tim Robbins. That was the first, I think that was the only time I got Tim Robbins, though. Zurzer says, he looks like Hulk. Now I assume he's talking about, again, I guess this person's talking about Mark Ruffalo. I don't know, but maybe I like to think it's my muscles, or maybe because I have a proclivity for the color green. If you ever seen my lab coats, Freddie Durain, the FLOL. The beginning of this video just jumped right into action. At first, he had me thinking this dude was Mark Ruffalo for a hot second. Charles Dead says, dope. You resemble Jon Favreau and Mark Ruffalo. Tyler DD, great tips, Jon Favreau. Nice art too. Subscribed. Bastian Riviero, your face reminds me of Eugene from The Walking Dead. All right. Well, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully, sans mullet. And the other one here, Super Nuella, says, Beekman, is that you? And yes, I mean, Beekman, if you're familiar with Beekman's World, that is sort of a big influence on me as far as the kind of the look with the green lab coat and kind of the whole setting and everything like that. So, yeah, again, I get a chuckle out of some of these comments. So I appreciate all the comments you guys leave in the comment section and everything. So yeah, keep them coming, and I'll hopefully maybe do more of these. Okay, so there you have it, and once again I want to thank everyone who sent in questions, and I'd like to do more of these from time to time, so keep sending in those questions. I will try to answer them in the chat, and also if it works for this kind of a show where I do a drawing and answer some questions, I'll try to do that too. So send me your questions, and I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here in the Art Lab. There's a lot of other great content on the channel, so click that subscribe button and you won't miss a thing. If you're an aspiring evil genius, visit Serkworks.com for all your mad science supply needs. And if you want to contact me, hit me up in the comments section or follow me on social media. I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you then.